It began on an ordinary summer morning in the small town of Grayvale, nestled quietly between rolling hills and decaying farm roads. The residents woke to a sun that felt strangely distant, its warmth hollow, its light dimmer than usual. But no one knew that before noon, life itself would pause, completely. Surveillance footage later showed birds mid-flight, hanging motionless in midair as if pinned by invisible strings. Cars drifted to a halt, not from braking, but from the sheer absence of motion. In that instant, the world inside Grayvale simply stopped. A postal truck was found straddling the center line on Main Street, the driver's hand frozen an inch above the steering wheel. A pedestrian stood mid-step, coffee cup suspended between lip and hand. Time itself seemed frightened to move forward. At precisely 11:07 a.m., every clock, digital, analog, wind-up, ceased ticking. Security cameras caught static, then silence, an eerie digital breath. The entire network of life in Grayvale had turned into a perfect tableau of stillness. When authorities arrived an hour later from neighboring towns, they found everything untouched yet hauntingly alive. The air trembled as if sound itself hovered between worlds. They couldn't shake the sense that someone, or something, was watching from beyond perception. Grayvale's population of 1,621 souls stood in impossible poses. A mother reaching for her child, a jogger frozen mid-stride, a dog's fur suspended mid-flap. None blinked, none breathed, yet none had perished. Medical teams attempted resuscitation, but pulses persisted faint and slow, as though each heart beat once every 10 minutes. Doctors whispered that these people weren't dead, they simply weren't here in time anymore. The air hung thick with static energy, like before lightning. Electronics flickered in and out, snapping with invisible discharges. Even radios spilled ghostly echoes, voices from broadcasts long past, replaying fragments of forgotten news. By sunset, drones captured an unnatural boundary encircling the town, a shimmering veil hovering inches above the asphalt. When crossed, it froze machines just as it froze men. Scientists called it temporal stasis. Locals called it the sleeping circle. At night, emergency lights cast long red shadows across the unmoving townspeople. The silence screamed, not even insects dared chirp. Every officer reported the same feeling, the sensation of being both inside and outside reality at once. A helicopter attempting to hover overhead experienced sudden mechanical paralysis, its rotors halting midair before gravity returned like anger. The wreckage landed outside the boundary, intact yet terrifyingly unburned. Something was rewriting physics itself. Data analysts found fragments of encrypted signals emitted from within Grayvale's invisible wall. The frequencies didn't match any known transmission, they pulsed rhythmically, like a heartbeat inside the void. Some swore it sounded almost human. Journalists arrived, only to vanish from live feeds the moment they crossed into town. Their satellite connections blinked out, every trace of them removed as if history refused to record their presence. It was as though Grayvale consumed memory. On the third day, one figure was seen moving, slowly, at the town's edge. A teenage girl walking backward, her eyes unfocused, murmuring words no system could translate. Then she stopped, stiffened, and froze once again. Satellite timestamps later revealed the footage itself stuttered, repeating frames like a looping animation, as if reality rewound itself in microscopic intervals. Analysts began calling it a temporal echo, proof that time was broken. Families of the frozen pleaded for answers, standing beyond the barrier that hummed with unseen energy. Some claimed to hear whispers calling their names from within Grayvale, gentle, slow, like dreams trying to remember waking. Theories erupted, chemical leak, government experiment, cosmic anomaly. But none could explain why digital clocks worldwide flicked backward by 1 second at 11:07 a.m. that day, synchronized with Grayvale's first freeze. Physicists described it as a localized temporal compression event, like a tear in continuity. Yet her instruments gave readings older than the town itself, as if Grayvale had briefly touched a different century. Then came the recordings. An officer's body cam picked up faint music emanating from empty windows. A slow melody, distorted, echoing, like a forgotten lullaby distorted through static. Every note matched a pattern in the strange pulses. For one terrifying hour that week, the frozen townspeople blinked, all together, then resumed their silence. The collective motion lasted less than a second, yet every sensor recorded a spike in electromagnetic fields across 2 counties. On the sixth night, lightning struck the boundary. For a heartbeat, the barrier dissolved, and rescuers rushed inside. But only 12 returned, their eyes bloodshot, unable to remember anything but the phrase, "It already happened." Those survivors aged prematurely within hours, hair graying, skin collapsing as if decades had passed in minutes. Their watches spun ceaselessly backward, forever ticking toward an unknown moment in history. When the storm cleared, the town stood empty. Every frozen resident was gone. Houses left untouched, meals still warm, but the people had vanished, like pages torn from a book no one admitted writing. Data logs show that after Grayvale's disappearance, a faint signal continued transmitting from its coordinates, an endless loop counting backward from infinity. Those digits broadcast even now, pulsing beneath satellite noise. Decades later, explorers who venture near the old Grayvale site report nausea, hallucinations, and lost time. Watches stall, cameras glitch, and shadows move opposite to light. The town may be gone, but its clock still ticks elsewhere. Satellite scans in 2023 briefly showed rooftops again, momentarily, then vanished without trace. The image lasted only milliseconds before pixelating into static. Whatever Grayvale became, it still exists between frames. Archivists found older maps labeling Grayvale under a different name, one that predates every census. The name, Graven Vale, meaning buried valley, a term used in folklore to describe places the world forgot twice. Local legends now speak of travelers claiming to hear laughter beyond the tree line at dawn, children's giggles fading with the sunrise. Each time someone goes to check, their recordings return blank, timestamps rewritten. Researchers attempted to model the event digitally, recreating the freeze frame by frame. Yet, every simulation crashed precisely at 11:07 a.m., as though even synthetic time refused to cross that line. Historians linked Grayvale's church bell to a foundry that once cast clocks for a vanished company named Chronos Works. The bell bore engravings of mirrored hours, symbols resembling infinite loops. Final experiment in 2027 tested if sound could penetrate the area. Speakers played tones from outside the boundary. Minutes later, the same melody played back from underground. Government sealed the surrounding region, reclassifying it as restricted wildlife area. Satellite imagery was blurred, labeled as forest regeneration zone. But locals know, the forest never grew there. Every year on July 21st, exactly at 11:07 a.m., devices across the continent experience a 1-second lag. Phones freeze, screens flicker, and clocks adjust. The world collectively hiccups, remembering Grayvale in silence. Some believe Grayvale was humanity's accidental glance behind reality's curtain. Others fear it was a rehearsal, a failed test before a greater freeze still to come. The question isn't what stopped time that day, it's when it will start again. As you watch this, check your clock. If it falters, if it trembles mid-tick, don't look away. Because somewhere in that pause, just for a second, Grayvale might still be watching you back.